Boys, bloody awesome. I absolutely love footy, and the Supercoach lads are back for 2020 after a hiatus last year. Danny boy, good to have you back, man.
Thanks, Butsy. Looking forward to this year. After last year, I was pretty rapt to get into this one after beating you in the grand final. And yeah, just looking forward to this year.
Actually, we got a new panel member, Jaden Atchison, legend from Ballarat. Love to play a bit of footy with him back at Edenhope. Good to have you on, mate.
Good to be here, boys. Looking forward to joining the crew and adding in another brain to the already good panelists we've got on the show so far. So thanks, boys.
Yeah. So the next few weeks before round one, we're going to be looking at different positions. So tonight will be defenders and forwards. Looking at the locks, who our risky picks are, what we're seeing over the pre-season, and how we're determining why they are risky picks or why they are locks. Looking at our defenders, defender rookies, and just seeing how they go, and then the possible ones, and then we'll move on to our forwards in the next step. So actually, James Sicily, what do you know?
Well, he started the 2019 season off with 4 tons in the first 5 rounds, playing that loose man in defence role that everyone's become known in playing. And Clarkson then moved him forward for a period of time in the middle half of the season. Scores of 75, 60, 47 and 50. For blokes like me that had him, it was a tough period. I think most of them would have probably got rid of him after that second bad score. But he obviously ended the season off going back, and ended off with a few good tons. So I think with the inclusion of Patton down forward, and they still have likes of Gunston, O'Brien and Lewis, so I doubt Sicily will make the move down forward at any stage of the year. And they've also introduced Frost from the Ds, along with Frawley still down there. So I think he might go back to that loose offender, hopefully, and get back up to that 110 average.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty phenomenal last year. It just shows the type of player he is. He can sort of play anyway. Didn't do that much down forward, but Clarkson must rate him what he can do. But yeah, he played, when he did play back last year, we saw his numbers just fail because really played that lockdown defender, didn't he? They've got no really good tall defenders. James Frawley's a bloody liability. But they've picked up Frost, Big Boy McAvoy. They've tried to turn him into a centre half back. So that'll be awesome for James Sicily and his owners, because I reckon he's going to have a big year. I reckon he's going to be averaging around that 95 to 105 mark with those intercept possessions.
Yeah, it's a shame McAvoy got injured at the start of the season, so now we don't know what he's going to be like in the next few weeks, because we would have liked to have seen them play a Marsh game together to see how Sicily would have played.
Yeah, and I think with Frost, I think they've only brought him in so that he can play straight away. And then you got Frost and look at West Coast Eagles. They got McKenzie and Barras, and then Govan obviously just takes that 3rd to 5th defender, forward. Sorry. So yeah, hopefully, I'm thinking he's going to have a really good year, and I like the fact that you put him down as a lock, because I don't think many people are going to have him.
Well, 2018 he averaged 105 playing that loose man role. Last year 93.5 with those subpar scores. So I think you can get anywhere between that 105 to 110 this year, and if he does, it's going to be an absolute steal for most coaches around.
Yeah. So Sammy Doherty, absolute legend from down Carlton, Princess Park.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest. He had obviously great year before he on the ACL. He plays a very similar role to Sicily, actually. He likes to get those intercept marks and rebound off half back, so I think it's an absolute no-brainer. If you're going to be serious about your Supercoach this year, you got to have Doherty. He averaged 108, 2016, 114, 2017. So if you get anywhere near that, you can't not go past him at all, I don't think.
You getting on him, Dan?
Yeah, I am. I think he can easily average at least 90 plus. Obviously, it's a huge risk because he's missed 2 years of footy. I know you're not very keen on him, Butts, but like the value, he's sitting just above 400k. I haven't looked past him yet, and he did all right in the Mars series. He moved well. That's the one thing that I looked at when I watched. I didn't have to see too much. I just needed to see that his body was right.
Yeah, I'm actually sticking clear of him, and I know a lot of people are on him, but Yeah, I think if it was one year, boys, that's completely different. Like one ACL, but GP, he's done two now. Like that's a lot of. Or there's players that don't come back from two ACLs, like to what they were. And you look, James Sicily is 70k more than that. Like, why would you take a risk on someone who's done two knees to someone who's had a subpar year and averaged 95? Like, let's be honest. I think it's a massive risk. 440, that's nearly primo numbers. That's a real cheap primo. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how he goes. I really hope he does because, they reckon he's a ripper fella down there. And he's obviously been co-captain for 2 years and hasn't played a game. Yeah, so it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I think the way he moved against Freo on the weekend, I think, yeah, as Dan said, you don't have to watch much of him to know he's fit and ready to go. I think he's an absolute lock.
Yeah, okay, nice. Dill Robertson, bloke that had a bad heart for a couple of years as well. 2 years, I reckon, didn't it?
Yeah, around that. Yeah, look, he's an absolute lock for me as well. I think at that price, it's what, 260, about 100k more than what most rookies would be. I think he offers a lot of value to your team, a lot of experience. He's in the leadership group. It's also hard to go past him as well, I think.
He tends to not score well when he's playing as a lockdown defender, which is something that I'm worried about. I looked at him at the start, like once Supercoach opened up, but since then he's never been in my team. I don't think he's going to score too highly for me to pick him up at 260. I think I could probably get the same average from a rookie. I don't think he'll average above 80 or probably even closer into that 70 mark. So I just thought I might as well pick up a rookie and use that 100k to upgrade a primo to a better one.
But will he play the lockdown role though? I think he's more of a halfback running type boy from memory.
Who have they got?
He was.
Who are their key position players?
I know they've got Brown still.
Carlisle.
Carlisle went fit, so I don't see Robertson playing a lockdown role.
Yeah.
Well, if they'd have no lockdown roles, where is he going to play? If they're all playing the same kind of thing, like Savage and... I don't know, he'll be an interesting one. If he plays a Marsh game, I'll definitely have a look at him. But he's just not in my plans at the minute.
And they've got Dougal Howard from Port, I believe. I think he's probably more lockdown defender than Robin will be. So he's going to be interesting. I think he might, if he lines up on a half-back flank, I think is very desirable at that price.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I reckon he is more a medium defender. I'm not sure if he's a runner, but he's more a medium defender. But yeah, looking at those numbers, he's averaged 2 years in two out of his last 3 seasons, full seasons. He's averaged over 90.
Yeah, if he can get that, he'll make you 100k, 150k in no time.
Yeah. And that's all you want. You want someone who's obviously hitting real good numbers. And if you think like Matt Roll from GWS, Mitch Roll, sorry, the one who went number 1 picks 207,000. That's an extra 50k, but you're nearly guaranteed at least 70 of that average, aren't you? Really? Yeah, I haven't put him on my team yet, just because I hadn't really thought about him. But I think
it's the same as I had Duday for a bit. Seeing as Duday's gone down with that couple-week injury, I don't trust him coming off that ACL. So I think Robin, his body's fit. He's had no body injuries apart from obviously the head injury. But I think if he's all good, ready to go, I don't see any issue in him picking him at all.
Yeah, I think he was a heart actually.
It was. You're right, actually.
Yeah. Yep. So which is even better because he's been running for the last 2 years as well. Like he's fresh. Yep. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm really looking forward to see how he goes because again, like he's another one who's been part of the leadership group for years. They absolutely rate him so highly down there. And you don't hear much about him either, but yeah, it'd be interesting. It's a really good one to think about. And then Stephen Hill, the smooth mover from Fremantle Darkers.
Yeah, look, price at 190k, he's just pretty much like a top 10 draft pick in price wise. Obviously coming off an injury of each season, he's averaged mid-90s a few times over his career. If you get back that sort of form, he'll make you huge cash by the bye week and upgrade him to a more solid option. His dual position status is also huge as well. I'm not too sure why he's got that forward status. I think I've ever seen him for 50 for a long time. But you've got that option of upgrading him to a forward or defender, depending on how your team wants to balance out. But I think he's an absolute lock. Absolute lock, boys.
Yeah, and he hasn't averaged under 70 for 10 years. Even if he hits 70 a game, like you take that, put that on your field, and I reckon he's nearly one of the most absolute guaranteed players you have to have in the game. I reckon outside of like your Brody Grundys, your Dusty Martins in your forward line, I reckon Hill is an absolute genuine lock. I think
absolutely.
Especially when like backs and forwards, it's really hard to find them consistent rookies. I can't see why you'd go past him.
With the injury of I think Young, their top draft pick, got injured a couple of days ago, so I think that makes his role even more important in your Supercoach team. If Young doesn't get up for the first couple of rounds, you got to have Hill. Probably the backman rookies aren't usually well known to be good scorers. So I think having Hill in your back line is probably the key this season, I think.
Yeah. And I've seen you've put in the run sheet. Jake Lloyd, risky pick. You are absolutely kidding me.
No, and I'll give you a reason why. For some reason, Horse moved him up to the wing towards the end of last season, and that brought scores of mid-80s. If the Horse does that this year, I think he'll average probably around the 90 mark, which for his price is well below average. If he goes back to that half-back line, taking kick-ins, which obviously now you get points for, I think you'll get up to 100. In saying all that, he's in my team, so I'm putting my trust in him, but I'm very curious as to where he's going to be playing in this season.
Yeah, but that'd be due to Jordan Dawson taking a lot of the pill on the back line. He emerged in the last half of the last season.
Who is this bloke? Everyone's talking about. No one knows anything about him.
Well,
he's in the top bit for the forwards. I think he's a dual position player.
I know Horse
is 470, 460k, so he's obviously been scoring.
I know Horse is counting him playing more midfield time too, so if he's another one to watch out for, I think. Yeah. He played well in a big loss. I think he top scored the Dream Team points, Supercoach points for the Swans the other day. So if he can, I think he's also one to talk about too.
And the interesting one with Jakey Lloyd is, like, I'm going through stats now. He's in the first 18 rounds of last year, went under 100 twice, hit an 80 and a 60. And you're right, he hit 4 80s in a row, 4 high 80s.
Yeah, playing wing. You got moved up to the wing for some reason. Yeah. That's what happens.
But even these statistics went 25, 31, 30, 26 in those 4 weeks. The thing that comes in, though, is they lost one game by 6 goals, next game by 2 points, next game by 60 points.
So if Sydney have a bad year, does that reflect Lloyd's scores, or do you reckon he can have a? I can't see Sydney making the finals.
But I think that's the reason he went up to a wing, because at that point in time they weren't making finals. But then you don't know, do you?
It's very interesting, because I think you can get 50k less and probably like a Caleb Daniel, for instance. I think he might average high hundreds. Mid early hundreds. So it's definitely interesting to see which way your team's going to go. Whether you go with Lloyd or you go with someone a bit cheaper.
Jake Lloyd for me is a lock like Dusty Martin is in the forward line. Set and forget. Don't even look at him.
Yeah, he's in my team. So at the moment, I'm putting my trust in him.
Yeah. Yep. Who are you on to next?
I just want to discuss some riskier picks that people are talking about. Dan Houston for mine is an interesting one, because obviously Ken Hinkley loves exploring with his team, and he's been thrown up to play in the midfield, which he hasn't done previously. It can go
he did the last half of last season.
He did, but I don't think his scores reflect the kind of attention he's getting. Look, if he can go 2 ways. He can either average 70 or he can average early 100s. So at the moment, he's not in my team.
He averaged 89 in the back line, though. Now he's been given midfield minutes. Well, basically, he's playing permanent midfield. So you got to think he's going to at least average more than 89.
So is he in your team, boys, or not?
He's in my team. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
He's another one.
He had the most centre bounces during their first March game. He had the most centre bounces.
Yeah.
I think he's a good option. That's what you want. You want those forwards or backs to play midfield time, and he's getting it.
I reckon he's
still a bit of a risk, but
I reckon he's one of the biggest flogs in the AFL.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just reckon he's a bit arrogant. But no, I don't. I can't even see why you're putting him in your team, mate. That's it. Like, what's the bloke done in his career? He's hit. You said midfield at the end of last year, right, Dan? He hit 300. Yeah, he went 50, 60, 80, 130, 80, 105, 117. So you're basing he hit 300s out of the last 7 or 8 weeks. How can you justify spending that money on him?
I still think he'll average above 90 plus, and that's why I've got him in my side.
No, there's a lot better picks, I reckon.
It's definitely, it can go 2 ways, as I said. He can average below what he averaged last season, which is not worth taking him. But he can also average, 105, which at that price, that's primo status set.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be interesting. And he's one of the ones that they come out early in the pre-season and say, this guy's going to start playing in the midfield. And sometimes it works, other times it doesn't.
All right, next, boys, I've got Rory Laird is a very, very interesting one because he's been in my team, a lock in my team for the last 3 seasons, I reckon. Very average season last year. Coming off an unreal 2018, I think he was a lock in most sides. He was the highest priced defender from memory, or one of the top 3.
I think he was the highest last year. Yeah.
I think he was the highest. Yeah. And what did he average? 90, 98, which for a highest priced defender, you want to see 110s, which is pretty similar to his 2018 stats. And 2018, obviously, the Crows had a great season, which reflected his score. So I'm just wondering if the Crows, finish bottom 6, bottom 8, will he suffer low scores again?
Yeah. For me, yeah, that's a very good point, especially with their losses. Like, in his losses, he got tagged a lot last year. We have never seen that with Rory Laird. So he's starting to get rated by the opposition. But yeah, we know how much losses and wins impact a Supercoach score if you're not sort of that top player like a Paddy Cripps in Carlton's team. And that definitely happened last year. I reckon he's still an absolute lock. Like, if he averages 95 again, I'm very happy with that because I don't have to worry about him all year.
Yeah, look, it's one of those ones that I've backed him for so long. He's burnt me too many times. I think I might just stay clear of him. I think this season I might be able to pick him up, when I upgrade a Robin or even a Doherty if he starts running at legs towards the end of the year. But he's certainly one to look out for, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Williams? Also, yeah, I think Williams, Hearn, and Hawley were all in the same category here. Obviously Williams, young fella, played a lot of midfield time last season. I just think with the inclusions of couple of Giants midfielders coming back in, I don't see him averaging that 100 again. I think he's probably going to be more early 90s off that halfback flank. Obviously, Callum Ward was due to be back, but that's gone out the window. Who else is back for the Giants this season? I think Cornelio's going to get a full run again.
That one who did his knee, the captain, ex-captain, Callum Ward.
Yeah, I think he's injured again. I think he won't be back for the start of the season. But I don't think Williams playing that midfield time again like he had last season. So I'm staying clear of him. He's in 18% of teams, which is, from looking at it now, 80% is actually the second highest of the primo defenders. So I'm not too sure
he's carrying an injury too. So it's interesting that so many people have picked him.
I'm not too sure people seeing it at the moment. I don't know. He's definitely a superstar footballer, but I just don't see him get that midfield time like he did last season.
and forking out 550 for that. Yeah.
It's also the same as Hernan Hawley. I think Hernan Hawley had great seasons last year. Coming towards the twilight of their career, I just don't see them averaging those numbers again. I think Hawley's probably more of a chance than Hearn to average that 105-ish, but Hearn, I don't think that's a look in.
If they have a lot of games at MCG, because Hawley generally scores above tons at the MCG. Like that last run home at the end of the year, you had to have him because he was just tunning up every week.
Yeah.
So, I won't be picking him because he'll be inconsistent.
What are your thoughts on Shannon Hearn, though? Especially with that, I know he gets scores for kick-ins, but do you reckon he can get back to that 103 average that he had last season, or do you reckon that's just a once-off sort of thing for Shannon Hearn now?
I feel that he plays a very, very similar role to McGlovern. Oh, the Gov, sorry. I reckon that he takes a lot of intercept marks, playing on pretty much the worst mid to small forward, which I think again is really, really easy points. But yeah, again, what is he now? 34. Gee, he's been going around. I reckon he'd be 33, 34. He's been going around forever. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, his career average is 85. 2014, 86, 15, 75, 16, 82, 17, 88, 18, 96, and last year 103. So it's going on this being on an increase for the last 4 years. So if he can get another increase on what last season, I think he generally becomes one of the best defenders in the game, I think.
And he was a lock last year, mid-year.
Absolutely was. Hawley and Smith aren't in my calculations at the moment, but they're in a lot of teams. They're in a lot of teams, them three boys, but I can't see the point in them three at the moment.
Oh, especially, and it depends what way you go with your team. A lot of people just sort of go your traditional like 3 primo backs, 4 or 5 mids, 2 star ruckman, and then your 3. So it's very hard to try and justify putting them in because if you've got your sort of your locks in Sicily, your Doherty Lloyds type of people.
All right, going on to the rookies, I think there's only 2 really worth mentioning, maybe even 3 or 4, but the 2 standouts are obviously Young from the Dockers and Gould from the Swans. What are your thoughts on Young? Because he, I think every Supercoach had him as a lock, but recent news the last couple of days coming out of the Dockers is that picked up an injury, unlikely for the first round. So if that's the case, is he still firmly in your plans?
Yeah, Hayden Young. I reckon he's going to be an absolute star. Played for Vic Country. Really, really smooth mover. And yeah, but Daniel, you said he got injured the other day?
Yeah, he did.
I didn't say that. I actually did. I had no idea he was injured. He's still on my team at the minute.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure about an article the other day of an injury. Just not a huge one, just a little niggle I think happened at training, I believe. So if that's correct, then he's in my team. He's locked in my team, but it's just that risk of taking injured playing into the season.
Yep.
It all depends on who's starting round 1. If we have enough rookies to field a team, really. If you can have him on the bench, then that's fine, and then have an extra cover. But there's not too many good-looking rookies in the back line at the minute.
I've just picked up. I've got the article here, boys. Fremantle defender Hayden Young won't play in the first Community Series game. It was feared an injury may start his AFL debut. So, I think it's definitely a risk. But if he can get his body right the next couple of weeks, I think he's still firmly in everybody's team, I think.
Yeah, and the really, really good thing about him, I've been following him a little bit. In the under-18 championships, he went All-Australian, but he actually went second in the whole that whole carnival for metres gained, which shows you that obviously very loves getting the ball, half-back flank. I think he's like 190 centimetres. Yeah, they really, really rate him, and I reckon he was captain of one. I reckon he was captain of the Stingrays last year as well. So. Yeah, I reckon if he plays round 1, absolute. Yeah, what's he worth? Because I reckon he's a lock.
180, I think.
Yeah, 180. Yeah. So seeing as Langdon's headed to Melbourne, do you think that opens the door for Hill to play wing and Hayden to fill that halfback flank role?
It all depends on how Hill's been going over the last 3 months. Like, if he's only just returned to full training and sort of starting to play games now, to play that wing position, you need to be a runner, but you can't just be a runner off 3 months' work. Does that make sense? Like, you need to have a couple pre-seasons in you. So I think it's going to be really hard for Stephen Hill to just come straight back into AFL and then play wingman. It's the most demanding running position in the game. It'd be interesting. I don't think he would. I reckon they'll put him on a back flank. To be honest.
Yeah, fair point there. My last one is Will Gould. At the start, when Supercoach opened, I think he was on most benches. He was on my bench at the start when I first made my team. Recent news coming from the Swans that he is absolutely dominating the track. Obviously, he's played in the Sydney reserves, I think, or the NEFL last season. So obviously his body's right for AFL footy. 117k, he's going to get opportunities at the Swans, I think. So I think he's a no-brainer.
Yeah, he looks a certainty to play round one. He's a big boy, playing with seniors in his juniors years. So,
and
I think he'll definitely.
He's actually from Lucindale, which is about an hour and a half down the road from Edenhope. Played a bit of played a bit of sample for Glenelg, and he got picked up as a really, really strong 97 kilograms. Like, far out, the guy's a beast. And he's the one that everyone's been talking about, haven't they?
Oh yeah, he's been the first one. They said he'd play round one, like in the draft, and he was picked up in the 20s or something. So yeah, he's a good talent and a steal for Sydney, really.
And he captained South Australia in the Carnivals last year.
Just before I wrap up, I've got a couple of names here I think worth talking about. Caleb Daniel, Tom Stewart, and Daniel Rich. I think Nick Newman also should get a run in this because Nick Newman averaged high 90s last year. He's only 1% of teams. What do you think coaches are staying away from him for? What's the main reason, do you reckon?
Maybe the inclusion of Doherty. Maybe that'd be one thing. He'd take away a few possessions. He's just not a good footballer, but he's a good Supercoach player. So people don't generally like to pick those kind of players.
I think
you go, Archie.
I think the thing people like about Newman is a great kick of the footy. So as a backman, if you use the ball well, that generally translates into good scores. So I think last season when he used the ball well, I think coaches stood up and thought, oh, he's going to be a handy pick. But this year, obviously, they've stayed well clear. As same as Rich and Tom Stewart, everyone's stayed well clear of them fellas this season.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting. And probably because I think he was the 9th or 10th ranked defender last year. A lot of people are going those top 5, and then and you've got a couple of mid ranges too. Like, you've got your Steve Hill, who can play as like that 4th pick. You've got a couple of cheap primos in the squads, like your Devon Smiths and your Jack Stevens, that probably don't justify picking up a 9th or 10th best defender. Yeah.
That just wraps up my defenders, boys. So thanks.
Sorry, mate. Just ending the episode. A lot has been talked about how we're following American sport, especially AFL, which is very, very clear. Like, look at your free agency and your drafting and how it's gone away from the zones. Everything's just following America, which we know happens in the world, especially Australia. I hate the fact, for me anyway, and I'll get your opinions. What do you think about a Twilight Grand Final? They want this entertainment and showcase the AFL like the NRL does. They do a brilliant job with the entertainment, and they get big stars who put on a spectacular halftime night show. What do you guys think? Do you like the tradition of a 2 o'clock game for Grand Final day, or would you love the fact to play it at 5 and make it a bit more entertainment, a bit more of a spectacular night event?
Yeah, I think this is one we've talked about. I think we've talked about this on the podcast a couple of times. Of course, everyone loves the tradition, so I'm happy to keep it the same. I wouldn't mind it being a couple of hours later though either. I wouldn't mind it starting around 5 and go into the night, but it doesn't bother me. I'm happy with the way that it is. That's my point of view. I don't know about yours, Archie.
Yeah, look, I think growing up as a kid, like, you used to love waking up and knowing there was footy time soon. I just think if it was I just think that the delay in the day, I think it's just not. I don't think there's any point. I don't think there's any point changing. I think tradition's a big thing in footy. You know, we've got a lot of rule changes, crap coming from the AFL Umpire Association. You know, changing the rules and all that sort of crap. So I think fans just want to see some tradition left in the game. I think that's the most tradition you can get is a 2:30 bounce of a grand final. I think. That's my opinion. I don't think there's any reason to change it.
Yeah, nice. And I'm the same. I'm a big traditionalist. News just in too. Blake Hardwick's just done a really bad injury. His pec. Out for 12 weeks. So that puts Hardwick and Jarman Impey, the running defender, out for a while, which I reckon absolutely opens the door up for Sicily to play a more attacking role. He has to. Like, they've got no small defenders anymore that run.
And also, there was one bloke I didn't mention was that Greaves from the Hawks. A lot of talk now that he might get another crack at a game. So I think if you track his Marsh game next weekend, I think if he gets a run, he could well and truly stay in the team for a period of time.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having us, boys. Great first episode. Look forward to the coming weeks because footy's starting up and we bloody love football, don't we?
Absolutely.
That's right. Looking forward to talking about forwards.
Good on you. Have a good week, boys.
Thanks, boys.